Hi, I'm Cindy Davis, and I have lived here in Wellswood my entire life, 67 years. My father and mother, Ed and Joe Campbell, married in 1952 and started having their home built, which was on Erna Drive. I've been in the neighborhood my entire life. My husband and I now own a home in Wellswood, also 4 blocks from where I grew up. All of us kids had friends the same age. So like, I had a group of girlfriends. My brothers all had groups of friends their age, and that was really cool. So we all had people to play with all the time. We were always out in someone's yard or in their house or spending the night with them or whatever. All of us kids would get together in the evenings and we would play Red Rover and tag, hide and seek, anything where you're running around, swinging statues. We did a lot of that. There are huge trees in the neighborhood, so we were all good tree climbers. Riding bikes, we rode bikes all over the place. Rome Avenue was just basically sand. There was no street at all. So I learned to ride my bike there with my father holding onto the back of it, chasing me, holding onto it as I'm pedaling in this dirt. But that's where we all learned to ride our bikes, is in that sandy dirt right down there, which is now Rome Avenue. And beyond that, all of that was woods, where Tampa Catholic Gym is, where the Waterford Crossing or whatever it's called now, those apartments, all of that was a wooded area. And that big wooded area was really our playground. All of us kids, we just lived playing there. I mean, we had dirt bikes, we'd play with BB guns, which we probably shouldn't have, but we did. We'd grab cane poles out of our utility rooms and go down to the river and fish. And there were a lot of palmetto bushes there. We'd cut off the palmetto fronds, and then at night we would have a marshmallow roast. We put our marshmallows on the palmetto fronds and have a marshmallow roast, which is very cool. My dad once caught a 16-pound snook in that river, and I still, to this day, can see that grin of him walking up. He had his wading boots on, and he was carrying the 16-pound snook with the biggest smile on his face I think I've ever seen in his life. It was really, really cool. I have a nice picture of that somewhere. No air conditioning, and what I remember about that as a child is, windows were open, and back then all the moms cooked, and you could just smell the aromas of the different cultures when you were going up and down the street on your bicycles. The Cacciatories had Italian food cooking. My mother would be in there frying Southern fried chicken, and the Hernandez family would have the Spanish food going and plantains frying, and it was just really cool. Trick-or-treating in Wellswood was incredible. I mean, we hit every house on every street and came home with sacks full of candy. I mean, sacks full of it. We'd have to go dump it and go back out. It was that much. But the two things I remember is the Whaleys lived on the street behind us, and they owned Whaley's Market on Florida Avenue, fresh produce market. They gave everybody an apple and an orange every year. No candy at the Whaley's house. You got nice fruit. And then on Harvey Drive, there was a barber, and every year he would give each girl a little comb in a pink case and each boy a blue comb in a blue case. No candy there either. But it was a really useful gift, and then you'd keep it in your purse until the next year and you get a new one. My first introduction to a Cuban sandwich happened to be at a place called Josephine's Bakery, which is on the corner of M.L. King and, of course, we called it Buffalo back then, and Armenia. And Josephine was this little short lady with dark well, dark gray and black hair, and she stood behind this counter just making this Cuban sandwich after Cuban sandwich after Cuban sandwich. And when I think about that place, I can smell a Cuban sandwich. And that was the first time I ever had one, and it's still to this day my favorite sandwich is a Cuban sandwich. Goody Goody comes in a close second, but I always say if I was stranded on a desert island, I'd have to have a Cuban sandwich and a devil crab with me. The other business I recall was a little restaurant called the Nighthawk Restaurant, which was at the corner of Rome and Hillsborough. And as a family, our family really did not go out to eat very much. I mean, mom cooked every night, basically. So when we did go out, if we went out, going out to the Nighthawk was a big deal. We would go up there and have dinner or sometimes breakfast. And then when I hit junior high age, it was really cool because then felt old enough to kind of go by ourselves, but we'd have our parents drop us off. So we'd have dad or mom drop us off, and we'd go with our little girlfriends and we'd order and eat, and then they'd come and pick us back up. In fact, I think one of my junior high birthdays was the girls going out to eat there and then spending the night with us afterwards, which was a nice memory. I can almost still even taste that Nighthawk hamburger. It's kind of like the Goody Goody burger to me. I can really taste that one. And again, taste it again since they're open. We all collected, all of us kids would be competing with one another to collect glass soda bottles because you could go and get refunds on them. And then with that change, we would go to 7-Eleven. You could get a 10-cent icy, which was there at Ferris and Wishart. And then next to that, where that Mambo's Cafe is now, I guess that's still there, used to be a pharmacy we called it Goza's. I think the owner's name was Fajaco, so some people called it Fajaco's. The kids all called it Goza's. But anyway, we'd go in there, and they had all kinds of candy. And I used to love to get the little boxes of rock candy. They also had a soda fountain. My first date was when I was in 6th grade, and Mickey Baker, who lived on Eldred, asked me to go to Goza's for an ice cream float. So we walked he came and picked me up at my house, and we walked from my house down to Goza's holding hands, and he bought me an ice cream float. So that was my first date. Another business was Easy Park and Shop, another convenience store where kids used to go. When my brother played baseball at Wellswood Little League and they would practice on Mendenhall Elementary's field, my girlfriends and I would walk down to Easy Park and Shop, which is there at Hillsborough and Rome also. It's part of the church now, and that was a little convenience store. We'd go in there and get pixie sticks and things like that we would like to eat. And then as far as a really cool business, one of my neighbors, the Lombardis, lived on our street, and he opened a fish market called Lombardi's Fish Market at the corner of Erna and Armenia. It was there's still a little building there. I don't know what it is now. At one time it was a beauty salon, but it was originally a fish market. And of course all the neighbors went, and that's where we bought our fresh fish. But a big success story for him was that he landed the seafood contract with Disney World when Disney World first opened. And so the neighbors all were so happy for him and felt like, there's someone very, very successful in our neighborhood with this big contract. And then they eventually did move to Orlando, and they still do business there in Orlando. I hope that we can continue to have a very connected feeling community. I think we do. I think we still do. Obviously, it's not exactly the same as it was when I was younger, but I still feel that way.